Hey there, class. Mr. Pusky here. Hope you're having a good day so far. We're continuing with 5.3 part 2, and today's lesson will be about solving a quadratic equation using radicals. So, this is similar to solving equations. We're going to be doing some similar kind of steps, except we're going to be using square roots and stuff to get x by itself or the variable all by itself. All right? So, let's start with some blue here. Let's go ahead and solve this. All right. So we have number 1, we have 4x squared minus 2 equals 98. So if I just had 4x minus 2 equals 98, what would be the first step that we would do here? Well, we would add 2, right? So we're going to do the same thing. We're going to add 2 to both sides. These negatives are going to, the plus 2 is going to cancel, so we get 4x squared. 98 plus 2 is 100. All right. And now if I just had 4x equals 100, what would I do next? I would divide by 4, so that's what we're going to do next. We want to get the x squared by itself first before we do anything else. So x squared is going to equal 100 divided by 4 is 25. Okay, now how do we undo a square? What's the opposite of squaring? Well, that's going to be the square root. So we're going to do a square root to both sides. And our final answer, well, these are going to cancel right here. And we're going to get x is going to be equal to, we need to be careful though. When we take the square root, we need to indicate that there's a positive and a negative result. So we need to do what's called plus or minus 5, like this. Plus or minus 5. So our answer is going to be x equals 5 or x equals negative 5. And that's going to be your answer. Okay, so when you have something like x squared equals 25 and you take the square root, you need to include the plus or minus because there's two answers that are going to work. Because both 5 squared and negative 5 squared is going to give you 25. When you take the square root of something on your calculator, it's only going to indicate the positive answer. So we need to make sure we do both. All right, number 2, we have 1/5 times x minus 4 all squared equals 6. All right. Well, we want to get that x minus 4 part by itself first. So how do I get rid of that 1/5 first? Let's get rid of that first because that's going to make things nice. I can multiply by the reciprocal or fraction bus by multiplying both sides by 5, which is going to cancel these out. And then I have x minus 4 all squared. 6 times 5 is 30. All right. Now, we're not going to expand this out in FOIL. We're going to actually try to get the x by itself, the x minus 4 by itself. So how do I undo squaring x minus 4? Well, I take the square root of both sides. So we're going to get, these are going to cancel now. These are going to cancel. We're going to get x minus 4 equals plus or minus. Is 30 a perfect square or no? It is not. So we're going to leave it as plus or minus square root of 30. Okay? And the last step, we need to get x by itself. We're going to go ahead and we're going to add 4 to both sides. And then I'm going to write it this way. I'm going to write x equals, I like to put the whole number in front usually. And that's kind of a thing we do with mathematicians. So we're going to have 4 plus or minus the square root of 30. So you would have, for example, x equals 4 plus square root of 30, or x equals 4 minus square root of 30. And those would be your final answers. Okay? All right, number 3. 3 minus 7x squared equals negative 1. We need to get that, if we just had this. If we had 3 minus 7x equals negative 1, what would be the first step? Well, we would subtract 3 from both sides. We're going to do the same thing. We're going to subtract 3. And we get negative 7x squared equals negative 4. Negative 1 minus 3 is negative 4. Now, if I just had negative 7x equals 4, what would I do next? Well, I'm going to divide by negative 7 on both sides. And I get x squared equals negative 4 divided by negative 7 doesn't divide. We're just going to get 4 over 7. Okay? Now we got to get that squared get rid of that squared, so we're going to take the square root of both sides. So we're going to get x equals plus or minus square root of 4 over 7. Okay, just make sure you add plus or minus when you take the square root. Now we can split this up. We're going to write x equals positive square root of 4 over 7, and x equals negative square root of 4 over 7. So we got to split this up. We got to solve this now. We're going to split this up into square root of 4 over square root of 7, which equals, well, it's going to be 2 over square root of 7. But we have a problem here. What's the problem with this one? We can't have a radical in the denominator, right? So we need to rationalize. How do we rationalize again? We multiply both top and bottom by the what? By the square root in the bottom. So we're going to multiply both top and bottom by square root of 7. Oops. And that's going to give us, for our answer, x equals, it's going to be 2 square root of 7. And square root of 7 times square root of 7 is just going to be 7. The square root times itself is just going to be the number itself. So that's one of our answers. So we got to continue over here. So we have x equals, it's going to be the same kind of thing, negative square root of 4 over 7, square root of 7 that is. We get x equals negative 2 over square root of 7. Again, multiply both top and bottom by square root of 7 on top and bottom. And we get x equals negative 2 square root of 7 all over 7. Those are our two answers. All right, number 4, last problem for today. We have 6 times the quantity of m plus 7 all squared plus 10 equals 64. So if we had just this, what we would distribute first. We can't, okay, here's the thing we gotta be careful for. You can't actually distribute the 6 to both of these because this is m plus 7 times m plus 7. These are two m plus 7s being multiplied together, so be very careful with that. You actually can't distribute here first, okay? When you have something squared like this, it's kind of like it's protected, and I would not distribute or mess around with what's inside the parentheses so much, okay? The first thing I would do here, if we just had, 6, this is just x right here, I would subtract 10 from both sides. So we're going to subtract 10. We usually get rid of addition and subtraction first. So now we have 6 times m plus 7 squared, all equal to 54. Next thing I would do is divide by 6. If we had 6x equals 54, we would divide by 6. So same thing here. Then we have m plus 7 all squared equals 9. All right, how do we undo a square now? And then you need to get that m plus 7 by itself, so we're going to take the square root of both sides. So we're going to have m plus 7 equals, what we got to be careful about here, though, square root is only the positives. We need to add a plus or minus. Square root of 9 is 3. So now we can split this. We're going to have m plus 7 equals 3, and m plus 7 equals negative 3. Subtract 7 from both sides on both problems. We're going to get m equals negative 4, and m equals negative 10. And these are our answers. Okay, and there's our problems for today. Thank you for watching. Have a great day, and we will see you soon.